What's good, YouTubers? I'm hoping y'all been enjoying the footage. I'm trying to make sure that y'all staying tuned and locked in, and I keep on dropping good footage. So for today, I'm going to hook y'all up with a Rockstar Mohawk with a taper and a smooth little design on the side.
You niggas silent, but we still shining on these streets. In this motherfucker.
So I'm bringing out the 76ers. Looking at it, it looks like it's a 2-guard on there. I can't remember what number I started with, but I remember that she wanted it lower. And towards the end, I went back with a lower guard just so she had that desired look because she didn't want her hair to grow back too quick as she was going out of town. So I put a 2 on there to start off with. So as you can see right now, I'm putting a 2 on there and I'm just barely going up on it. And I'm trying to make sure that I can have those lines really sharp towards the bottom. All right, so I already knew that she was going to want to go lower on the side. So what I was doing a lot of deep bulking and using a lot of my higher guards to get that fade going in the direction in which I wanted it. So right now I'm hitting it with like a 4. And then you see me come back in with that purple guard. That's a 5. That's definitely my wall 5. 5/8. That's a great guard to have. And the fast feed doesn't have that in-between number. So I always use their 5, follow up by 6. And the 6 is the equivalent of finger length. So anytime you thinking finger length, that's what I'm usually using. So as you can see right now, I'm like pulling up the hair to get out the hairline. So I can put a nice point back there, almost like a diamond. Bring it to a point, but keep it with the natural lining over the ear and everything. The whole thing has got to be a smooth transition. So I'm still working with the GTXs. I'm just trying to make those lines to start showing a little bit more definition. Right over the ear and everything, that's very sensitive areas. So you want to make sure that you have edges that are sharp, but the blade is not overset. Because if the blade is overset and it's standing over the moving blade, you're going to cut someone really, really bad, especially in those tender areas. So I always like to press lightly and make sure that the clipper is doing the work and not me. So I'm just coming back in. I'm going to bump it a little bit more. And you're going to see that I'm going to pull back the hair for the hairline. So I can go ahead and I can start adding the edge up for the front. So then that'll let me know how to taper. You know how the taper is going to go on the C notes. All right, so now I'm putting the clamps on the front. And what the whole purpose for me doing this is just to make sure that none of the long hairs that she want to style later on when she gets the mohawk and gels and everything, that it doesn't interfere with her natural hairline. I just want to make sure that I don't take hair that's supposed to be used to be styled later and bag it up and or take it away. Just try to make sure that we just get a really nice natural lining. So I usually always go with the right side of the head first because it's easier for me to work with that, and that's just how my style is. So then you can see I'm just like trying to measure it, and every time you see me looking back, I'm usually looking in the mirror because of where the camera is. The whole line has to be symmetrical no matter what. So I just hit the other side, which would be the right side of her head. Now I'm edging up the left side. My whole thing is to make sure that lining is symmetrical and it is straight as possible. Even though it might be light in some areas, just know that that was edged, and just trust yourself and it's all going to come together. See, a lot of people be feeling like, oh, it's light right there, so I'm just going to keep on bagging it up till it get crisp. But you're really doing more damage than good. Not to mention that when a person have a lot of hair on the top, if I sacrifice that hair, that's hair that's going to take months and months and possibly for them to grow back. It's not an easy fix.
Still represented, and we gon' hold it down for the whole
Yeah. Time to get them 76ers out. Y'all already know how I'm coming when I come with the 76ers. So y'all gonna see that this is really like the chainsaw all clippers in my arsenal right here. These clippers have been with me forever. I love these damn clippers. These my 76ers. They are Osters. 1.5, I believe that I'm putting on the bottom right there. And I'm talking about these clippers get to the business right here. They don't play around. You got to know what you're doing when you got these because there's no room for error when you pull the 76er out.
fucking home smoking loud. You already know how it is, man. We smoke this can of kush like we got
So whatever you cut it in with, you got to cut it out with. The Oyster fast feed and the 76er blades are compatible. So you have to use those in unison. One and two, however you want to say, synchroson, however that word goes. But you can't use one without the other. Some people could perform this whole haircut with the 76er, but to put the detailing in it that I would like to put into it, I'm just coming back in right now with a 1/8. I have to use my adjustables because that's where I really get that smooth transition from. And I don't really use a lot of the clipper and comb technique because I just like really feeling the hair and feeling that clipper just really blending that line out. So right now I'm coming back, and that's a 2 guard that I'm using right there because it's a long distance in between the 1.5 and the length that's on the top. Plus I'm coming back in, like I said, later you will see that I'm going to put the taper on the C notes. So I got to still make sure that it's dark enough to be able to see that transition.
For my niggas in the feds, we gon' still go hard. And when they touch down, we gon' kill a boulevard. Whole team stayed solid, ain't now nigga told. 100 came from the bottom, now we ballin' out of control. And we straight up.
So with this haircut, it's a lot of hair that's still going to remain on the head. So I'm constantly just trying to make sure that I keep everything clean. So what I did was I cleaned everything off really good with a nice dusting. And I'm coming back and I'm using my bald-in clippers. I believe this might be one of the first little haircuts I really use the bald-in clipper on because I like to use the bald-in clippers when I'm doing the taper because it gets it really, really clean right there on those C notes. And I wanted to make sure that that fade was really, really crisp right there in that line. See, in those areas, I like it be right in here. You can see that line is starting to take shape right there. If you can see it, she pulled her head back. And that's what I'm really looking at that whole time. Just making sure that that line, it might be a little light. But when I catch those side angles, you'll really be able to see how crisp it really was. So as you can see, I'm just like lightly tapering it out right now. And then you're going to see I'm going to follow it up with the razor and the edger. And I'm just going to just keep on working at it until I get it exactly how I feel like it should look. So if you've been really watching this, I'm hoping y'all taking notes. I'm hoping y'all learning something. Yeah, there we go. I got that persona out. My favorite tool in my whole arsenal. Right there. Something so simple. That right there is the difference between somebody that's being a barber and really taking their craft serious and somebody just cutting hair. That razor right there, that changes the whole game. So I'm still coming back, still making sure that that taper is how I want it on the other side, which would be the left side of her head. And you see, I'm just trying to just work it up just a little bit. And as you can see, you're going to really be able to see this whole side take shape. Now, this is the side that I decided I'm going to put a part on. And it doesn't matter just because I'm going to do a design. I'm still going to focus on the haircut. The design is just an add-on. I don't never get caught up in all the extras. You know, because see, when you make a mistake with that razor, right there, those clients would have seen it that's waiting. Those people that just walk in, when they see you mess up somebody with a razor, that can scar somebody for life. That they might not ever want to go back to the barbershop after that. Or they might not ever give you a chance. That's something that you cannot redeem yourself from. So every time you pull out that razor, you got to make sure that you know what the hell you're doing.
Drop them bad bitches, choose. Nigga, I'm Houston. Been get money in these streets. And I can't lie, I feel like nobody out here.
So I'm coming back right now with the pro liners, the slim lines. I don't know what them slim pro lines, I believe that's what they're called. But I'm just coming back over there and I'm just putting a lining on it. That blade was really cool on those because it's really thin. And it doesn't do a lot of vibrations in the hand. And you can get in tight little close areas. So I'm just coming back with that razor and I'm just cleaning it up. And so I'm putting the finishing touches on the haircut. And I'm just thinking about like how dope this is finna be when I go ahead and I put this design in there. And I come back and how the whole thing is just going to come together. Her hair was really great for this haircut. and it just held really well. I mean, it blended really, really nice. It held a nice lining. It was really, really thick, but it was a good thick. Sometimes you can get that unbearable where it's just you can't do nothing with it. But once I came back at the end and I'm going to thin it out, I'm going to make it where it's really easy and more manageable for her, it's going to all work out in the end. So this is like a really Rockstar style. I don't really do a lot of scissor cuts often, but I just go off of how I feel like it's supposed to look. In the middle, I feel like it's supposed to be more like a TP. So it needs to be styled at a V, you know, where in the middle it's going to be a little bit longer than the outsides. And we need to make sure that the outside of the Mohawk goes and transitions a little bit better into the actual fade. So now this is really hard for me to get this part right here where it's like goes down into the bottom. Just holding my hand in that position. But like I said, I'm not trying to sacrifice a lot of hair. I'm just really just trying to make it more even and just make it where it's thinning out into that fade. So that's what you see what I'm doing right there. I'm just trying to work it where it's going to be a smooth transition as much as possible. And I'm just pulling it back and I'm trying to style it every way possible just to make sure I get that desired look in the end, you know. So as you can see, I see a little bit right there that's poking out that I didn't like. And I'm hitting it with those thinning shears. And I'm just going to keep on chasing it with different combs, different techniques, different, you know, ways of pulling the hair and hitting it with that thinning shear. Just trying to make sure I can get it flat.
About living that motherfucking boss life, man.
So I'm just spinning her and I'm just trying to see every area that may need to go over with the thinning shears before I just thin out the whole entire haircut. So that's what I'm doing right here. As you can see, I'm just pulling it all off and I'm trying to go to the base where I could just get as much of the bulk off and make it where it's not as thick. Not trying to cut a lot of hair. You will see those shears, you will assume I'm just cutting a lot of hair, but I'm really not. I'm just barely just bumping it. I'm just bumping it. I'm pretty much doing like a sideways technique where I do with the clippers, but I'm doing it more with the shear right now, where I'm just tapping at it. Not trying to go all the way in, not trying to take it all off. I mean, I'm pretty sure if I was to really put those thinning shears on there and just really be aggressive about it and go crazy, I'm pretty sure that I could probably cut a nice portion of the hair out. But that wasn't what I was trying to do. So I'm back doing the design, and you can see I have those cordless, what's those things called again? The slim lines. I just like the way they feel. And this is like really probably the first time I actually did a design with them. I'm just starting to get so much more comfortable with them. And my whole goal when I'm doing the design is to keep the line as thin as possible. And I'm just trying to think of something that I've never done before. But when you've been cutting hair for so long, you know, it's going to be very hard to not do the same thing over and over. But I'm pretty sure somewhere down the line I've done this haircut probably 20 times over with the same design. But it's always something new for the person that I'm providing the service for. And I like to go ahead and do simple designs, not too many lines. The more I keep it simple, the easier it is to remove it when it's time to get a new style, or when a person even want to maybe add more to it, or can you do the same exact one? You know, I'll do the same exact design maybe 2 or 3 times for a person before I just say, hey, you know, let's swap it up a little bit, because now I'm getting burnt out of seeing the same thing. But I think maybe 2 to 3 haircuts, this design would be perfect. But we don't want it to be her signature. You know, you don't want people like, oh, you got the same design every time. No, that's not what I do. That's not my signature. My signature is to give someone something unique every time they come. So I'm just going back and I'm just cleaning it up with the razor. To me, the illusion of how crisp this razor made this line look on the contrast of how dark her hair really is. It was amazing, almost like it was glowing in my personal opinion. But I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to grab the camera and I'm going to bring it in a little bit closer. And I want y'all to see how clean that line was with no nicks with a new clean razor. Oh, yeah, there it is. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go. Yeah, y'all done seen enough. Till next time.